Hey everybody, this is Manny Aragon from the Rolf Workshop Center for Structural Performance, and welcome back to the Structural Performance Podcast. This is episode 11, and today I've got a really neat treat for you. You don't have to sit through an hour of me talking away by myself. I've got a really, really interesting guy and neat guy to interview today. His name is Aaron Guyett, and Aaron, I apologize if I mispronounced your last name. I didn't ahead of time make sure that I got it right. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Guyett. Yeah, that's right.
Guyett. Okay, sorry about that. Anyhow, Aaron runs a really amazing gym. I've known him actually for a number of years, periodically from time to time, gone on to into his training facility, which has existed in various formats over the years. So, but let me tell you a little bit about his background. He's a family man. He's a husband, a father. He's a recently promoted Marine Corps Staff Sergeant. So congratulations, Aaron. He specializes in helping groups of people develop mental and physical strength that they never thought possible. Which I think it's actually a really good. This is a really good encapsulation right there, because it's what makes. There's a lot of trainers out there and there's a lot of gyms out there, and I think what makes Aaron and Innovative Results, his gym, special is one, his background and kind of like that focus on let's do something that you didn't even know was there or as a possibility. Let's actually see what pops out as a possibility. So that kind of excites me. That's totally cool, and that's one of the reasons why I really like you guys. So Aaron's outlook on fitness is truly unique, and it's where your heart and mind become contagious for everyone around him. And I got to say, this is another great encapsulation. It's totally true. He was a very enthusiastic. I remember the first time I met Aaron, I was actually at I think it was a Toastmasters meeting, and he just popped in to say hi, and like everybody's attention was on him. And then I was like, oh, I got to follow up with this guy. He looks really cool and interesting, and sure enough, he was. He delivers tactful, strategic, and uncompromising results to our nation's finest citizens, military, federal, state, and local agents, preparing each warrior physically, mentally, and spiritually for their highly specialized and arduous missions and tasks. I think this is like kind of a niche skill. Again, there are a lot of trainers out there, but the idea, and we didn't really talk much about this, Aaron, but the idea of the path of the warrior and warriorship, I think, is kind of interlaced into your philosophy and training, and I'm sure we'll get into that a bit. So that's like a special path. I was never in the service, but I spent a lot of years studying martial arts and the warrior path. So if you have, you kind of intuitively get that already. If you haven't, it's something I highly recommend that you explore, because there's a lot to learn about yourself and what's possible there. So needless to say, Aaron's an incredible coach that helps everyone accomplish, achieve, and grow from the inside out. And he's obviously got all kinds of like training certifications, but one of his specialties is kettlebell, and Aaron happens to be the American record holder for the jerk and snatch and the 24-kilogram kettlebell. 24 kg, I don't even know if I should be lifting that kind of weight, but but wow, that's awesome. So I really, really like your new facility. I visited recently, and it's totally awesome. I remember I didn't go to your last one, but I did go to the one over in Sky Park. So it's gone through a few iterations over the years. Can you give us a little background on how the present facility and system you've developed came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was found really in the heart and even maybe the childhood of both Corey Beasley, who's my business partner and good friend over the years, and then my own heart and my own childhood. In that, I think we all kind of want to play and have fun. And in that, we end up moving, and you get strong, and you build coordination, and you build agility, and you build speed, and you build endurance, but you don't even realize it when you're playing. And so we wanted to create a facility that was like a playground. So we like to call it the Orange County Fitness Playground. And it really, like, when you obviously went there, so when you walk in, the inside pro shop is actually, it looks like a back porch, and then it opens up to this turf field, which looks like grass. It's very green, and then a lot of woods and stuff like that. So we tried to bring the outside in, indoors, because it does rain very rarely here. We're in a drought, but it does rain sometimes, and that can put a little hamper on a specific program that you have for a client. So we brought it indoors, and then we wanted to get away from the industry and the industrial kind of look that I think pervades most of the fitness industry. You know, and you see it prevalent with like CrossFit, which is a very common thing to see nowadays. And there's, you know, obviously the good and the bad with CrossFit, just like with anybody in any fitness facility. But we wanted to get away from industrial and towards the outdoors. So we kind of melded that together and created innovative results.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you touched on something there that's, you know, for people who are doing these, you know, fitness stuff. You know, I see a lot of different clients who are, you know, they'll come in and they'll say like, yeah, you know, I'm overweight or whatever, and I really got to get fit, so I need to start working out, going to the gym to get healthy, you know. And in my mind, like, I kind of quietly say to myself, that's not going to last, because there's no higher purpose there. There's no fun involved. It's like the drudgery of, I've got to eat right. This kind of, as a client brought up to me recently, there's like a puritanical aspect to that. Like, I'm going to punish myself for being bad.
Yeah.
And so what's your take on that?
So it's absolutely right. I mean, 24-hour fitness and LA Fitness and like the big, if you call them like the big box gyms, I think they're always going to have their place in the fitness industry, because it's a place where you can all meet, and then you can go through sort of the exercises that you've been told that you have to do by, you know, and it's only relatively new, this like bodybuilding style and this style of workout where you strap yourself to a treadmill. The problem is, if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to keep doing it. And so we wanted to do something that was really different. And we thought, well, the things that we enjoyed, and not everybody enjoys the outdoors, and I get that too. So this is obviously kind of a niche market, but I think most people do kind of feel revitalized by the outdoors. And then if you can create programming that's still very well thought out, and, you know, uses science and doesn't just kind of throw things up on the wall and hope that it sticks, but put it in a format and put it on a platform or in a way that's fun, man, people are going to stick around. And that's one of the biggest comments that we get back is workouts became fun again. You know, our clients are constantly, I finally realized that I don't have to, like you said, be a Puritan or punish myself with a workout. I can actually go and have fun, de-stress, feel better about myself, and be doing the thing that I should be doing because my doctor tells me I have high blood pressure, or I need to lose 20 pounds, or I just want to feel better because I feel like crap all day.
Right. Yeah. And that's huge. And then the aspect of being there with a group of people that you kind of bond with. And I think, you know, that's one of the areas that group workouts and boot camps and things have done really well, is to build that kind of community. Mm-hmm. And that's huge. That's huge. I see people mostly one-on-one, so I don't like really get, although I've led classes in the past, I don't really, you know, get that. But I imagine that you must have, well, as a leader, right, from your work in the military and in other places, like, I guess that there is some sense, you know, of like, what is it that causes that group to come together and be cohesive? Like, what are some of those aspects?
Well, I mean, I think you probably have experienced it in you know, you're in endurance sports, and so if you're doing like triathlon or even just a long, arduous bike ride, you don't even necessarily need to be talking to the person next to you the whole time to feel quite uniquely bonded with them, because you're kind of going through the same, and sometimes it's suffering or sometimes it's fun or, sometimes it's exhilarating or energizing, but there's an emotional aspect to what you're doing, and that emotion is sort of bonding you to these people. Then the emotions of when you actually achieve your goals, or you win a race, or you do well, or you create a personal best or something like that with some more people. When you do it by yourself, it's really cool, but when you can share that experience with other people, man, it's 10 times. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know if that's a steady thing, 10 times, but it's a many times better, than if you're by yourself. And although when you're by yourself, it's still pretty exciting. You'll probably jump up and down and shout hooray and all of those things. But then what do you do next? You want to go tell somebody, And so then that's sort of that community, that group aspect,
Yeah, we all kind of share that. I have a team that I'm, a triathlon team. I have my endurance sports friends and my fitness friends on Facebook, and we share our goals. That's a big one right there, and our wins. I think back to my days studying martial arts. We used to wipe the floor with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice way of putting it. We basically pummel each other into submission. And even though it's been 10 years since I really spent time there, I have a lot of my buddies on Facebook, and it's like we've never left, we're still training together. The friendship, the bond is still there, and it's never going to go away because of that, and so that's huge. So what, what would you say are some of the challenges, the issues that people are coming into your facility with, in general? Is it that they're overweight? Is it that they're injured? Are they trying to get strong for a certain sport? What are some of the things that people are facing when they come?
I would say that there is two. A lot of times they come in because I need to lose 20 pounds, or but really it's a deeper thing. I want to look good for this wedding, or I keep getting gross looks from girls, or I think that I'm getting these weird looks from guys or something like that. But so they'll come for that. But then what I'm seeing is there's two prevalent things. One is confusion. There's so much out there that people are just getting rammed down their throat that they've got to do this and they've got to do this. I probably have 3 or 4 conversations every day about nutrition, and either somebody's saying that this is the only way to do it, or somebody is saying that I started this diet. Do you think that is good for me? And while sometimes some of the diets or whatever are good, but they're just confused. They just don't know, so they're just grabbing on to the thing that's closest to them and the thing that they think makes the most sense. And so what's really important is if you can get an educated coach like yourself, or any of our coaches with Innovative Results, we vet them really well, because we want a high level of education, a high level of experience, so that we can kind of clear out the mist, or clear out the fog, if you will, of marketing and confusion that's out there, to help kind of give them a direct line to, okay, here's your point A, which, you're not happy with your 20 pounds or whatever it is, but your point B is there, it's attainable, and if we remove this fog, here, look at some of these pretty simple and basic steps to walk down to get to that goal. And it doesn't always take just one session. Many times it takes sometimes months, weeks, months, even years to clear out all that fog. But that's a huge thing that I see, a huge issue that I see often, very often. And then the other one is the old couch, computer, car, and cell phone. People come because they need to lose 20 pounds, but then what they realize is they're decrepit in the sense that they cannot move in the way that they thought they could or used to be able to, or should be able to, and it's, the age old or rather young couch, computer, car, and cell phone, and this sedentary life that we live. And obviously you got to make a living, so get on the computer, sure, but Don't let it create disease. Don't let it create arthritis. Don't let it create injuries. And I think that's what happens a lot. And so we do a lot of fielding of injuries right off the get-go, or helping people with their posture right in the get-go, and learn that slumping over in a human cashew position is not a productive position. It's not a position of performance. We need to really help people gain the vertical core strength to hold themselves well and to move themselves through our world well. And then they get to start enjoying the more fun activity-filled things that a playground has to offer. But yeah, those are the two big ones: confusion, and then, postural issues and movement issues.
Yeah, you totally nailed my experience as well. I mean, I'm like the alignment and posture guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but confusion is a huge one. It's like bringing order to this world of, like, every time you open up, like today, there's a new article out or a new meta study that says, all fat is actually bad, even though they said in the past that fat is not bad, and then fat was bad in the past, so nobody knows, like, is fat bad, is fat good? These guys who are saying all fat is bad are talking about, like baked goods and processed food fats, which I would say are in general not good things to have. But and there are studies that look at, but it's so confusing. Like, is it the paleo diet? Are you going to be vegan? I mean, I have people come in with the same thing. Like, okay, I've eaten, I remember I had a client come in, ripped body. I mean, really good shape, a runner. And this person was experiencing some health problems, but they were an elite athlete, basically. And so at some point, somebody had convinced them that vegan was going to solve all their problems. Mm-hmm. And I have nothing against vegan, but for this person, it probably was going to perhaps solve some immediate problems, but cause some long-term problems. And so, like, the question was, like, okay, well, what are you trying to get out of this? Let's figure that out. And then I love the term human cashew. I remember hearing that when I came into your place, and I just got to say, I love that. I want to start using it. Maybe you should trademark
absolutely.
it.
No way. It needs to be used more often. I can't trademark it. Everybody's got to use it, and then people will stop doing it.
It's totally awesome. But the third thing that you said, or you talked about the couch, computer, car, cell phone, and that's huge. Like, I'm a big advocate of, I do a lot of computer work. So I have at home, I have a counter, and I do my best to work at the counter. There are times where I have to sit, but I try and minimize it. So I'm at least standing, when I'm working at the counter. The couch, I just don't even sit on a couch. I don't watch TV. It solves the problem right there. Car, we're in Southern California, so, you do your best. And then, cell phone. I try, again, not to be on it as much, or use the speaker, or use the headphones or something like that, because it causes so many problems. You wouldn't know how many people come in with neck problems or whatever. But the vertical core strength that you mentioned, I'm curious about that. What are some things that people can do to develop vertical core strength? Like, you talk about this most fundamental problem that people come in with. What are some of the things that you do for them right off the bat?
The first thing I do is I try to clear out some confusion. So usually they think core strength is doing crunches for your rectus abdominis. That's it. It's like, I'm going to build this six-pack even if it kills me. So I'm going to do 1,000,000 crunches and then I'm going to have vertical core strength, right? And it's like, no, your core is much more than that. I mean, you're talking from your neck out to your shoulders, down through your hips. So how you get that strong is, one, become aware of it, become aware that, am I standing up straight or am I hunched over? And then when you become aware of it, you start to realize that as you pull your shoulders kind of down and back and make your shoulders wide and your spine tall the way it's supposed to be, the way we were created to stand, then you start to actually feel your core, and then even specifically those crunchers out there, your six-pack starts to actually start working even just in the standing position. And so what I'll try to do is I'll try to point out that literally almost every single movement that we do in the gym, whether it would be with just your legs or your upper body and your arms or a combination, it's somehow passing through, or you're somehow needing to keep your back aligned. So you're going to need to use, back muscles and ab muscles and all of your ab muscles, not just the rectus abdominis, but your, even your obliques and your transverse and, everything, even to include your pec and well, am I hyper engaging my traps, or am I letting my, trap muscles relax, the muscles on the top of your body in between your shoulders and your neck. And a lot of times, because of the human cashew and the couch, computer, car, and cell phone issue, those are hyper engaged, and they need to relax so that the upper back muscles can contract and kind of pull your shoulders wide. And then as you do that, you're like, wow, my abs actually are starting to engage, and all I'm doing is standing. And then you start adding movement to it, and now you're really getting your ab muscles to contract and your upper back muscles to contract while you're moving, and you're noticing that your posture is better, you're moving better. And so I think just pointing that out, clearing out the confusion and then pointing it out to them, then they realize, okay, I don't need to do a million crunches anymore. I just need to be cognizant of the fact that I have this thing called vertical core that holds me upright in the position that I was born to stand in. And so start utilizing that, and then start thinking about that when I'm pushing and when I'm pulling and when I'm squatting and when I'm lunging and when I'm turning. And, for you, like if you're cycling, if you're swimming, if you're running, you're still using the same vertical core muscles that somebody would use if they're squatting or they're deadlifting. You're just going to use them in a little bit different way. So yeah, just clearing the confusion and then making them aware and then continuing to push that.
Yeah, and I think like in a functional sense, the way I kind of describe the functionality of quote unquote core strength, or as another trainer I spoke to called it trunk strength, which may or may not be, I would say trunk is kind of part of the core, but not necessarily. The way I see it, it's the ability of your legs, pelvis, and trunk to work together in, like your body, like you said, your body was born to do. And that's kind of how I describe to people, when you want to be as efficient as you can be to get the power that your body has, to get the full potential of the power and the strength that your body already has, but get it working together, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where when you're running, or say you're at an end of a long triathlon or whatever, and you're gutting it out in the last, half marathon of an Ironman or something, your core strength's going to carry you, because you're not going to turn into that human cashew, which so many people do. And you can watch this happen in races where, at the end, they're like, basically, they're running by pulling with their hamstrings as opposed to pushing with their glutes and quads, and in being fully stretched out, really getting that efficient, beautiful, elegant transfer of power that you see more in like the pro athletes or whatever. But yeah, that's huge. So, what would be some like practical things that, say, like endurance athletes could do to improve their fitness, efficiency, and performance? And sorry to kind of combine this, but are there things that I'm sure you have endurance athletes as clients now, but what are some of the things that the challenges that you see in them when they're coming in? Is it the same stuff?
Yeah. So it just depends. I think when it comes to an endurance athlete, there's, I think, the educated and the trained endurance athlete, and then there's the endurance athlete that I think jumped into the sport and was maybe really gifted aerobically or something, or just really enjoyed going long distances, and but never really had their form looked at, or never even really cared to look at it, honestly. Just enjoyed it so much that, well, I don't really care if I'm doing it right. I just love doing it, so I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And so I think with the educated and the trained, a lot of times you're seeing good vertical core strength, usually, or you're seeing, decent posture and decent gait. and then with the uneducated, then sometimes you run into that human cashew issue, because they don't really care. They're doing it for the endorphins, and they just love being outside or love doing that particular activity that's an endurance activity for them. And it just feels really good. So the thing that I like to explain, though, to every endurance athlete is that you're doing this repetitive movement just like sitting on a couch for a long period of time, or just like sitting on a computer. Obviously not near as detrimental, because it's really good for your heart and lungs, and it's really good for your brain, and study after study after study is going to show that, and it will shows that and will continue to show that. I'm sure of it. However, if you do the same, for me it's kettlebell, and really that's kind of an endurance sport. I have to do it for 10 minutes. It's a heavy weight that I have to do for 10 minutes straight. So I got to have major aerobic capacity. It's not near like an endurance type race where I'm going, 10K or even 26 miles like a marathon, or shoot, I can't even think about doing an Ironman or something like that.
I'm sure you could do it.
But you do these same repetitive movements over and over again, and so just like sitting or just like typing on a computer, you run into these chronic joint issues because you're running that joint through the same pattern for a lot of repetitions, and then it becomes like, for me, my 10 minutes is like, I would guess would be like your half marathon in running, because you're carrying your body for a lot longer, and it's only body weight, but it's still body weight with gravity over and over and over and over and over again. And so it's going to grind on that same groove in that same joint. And so if you look at a joint as a space piece and you run the same pattern over and over again, that space is going to get smaller because you're not moving it in the other capacities that joint has. And I like to look or think visually about my hip, the ball and socket, and my shoulder, because it's the ball and socket. And that has so much room to move in all these other different directions, but really you're just mainly moving in a sagittal plane for a lot of time. And so what I'll do is I'll have them do things like lunge matrix, where they're moving in multiple planes. I'll have them do lateral movements. I'll have them do rotational movements for those joints, because we want space in those joints so that they can keep doing their activity and feel healthy doing it, instead of waiting for the endorphins to kick in to remove the pain and then keep going.
Yeah, that's huge. And that was something that I picked up the last time I visited you, was that little bit of wisdom there. And honestly, I got to say, it's like, when you hear it, it's a no-brainer. Oh, duh! Like, I'm doing a repetitive stress, exercise, basically repetitive exercise, and it's gonna result in RSI injuries. Yeah. And so, how do I should obviously be moving in multiple directions, but your average athlete is thinking so myopically about their sport, and so they're, especially triathletes, they're like the worst. They like just bang out the miles without thinking. Everything's in zone 3. They're not, going nearly hard enough or easy enough. They're kind of like wearing themselves down, and then they wonder why, they get injured. And they're not strength training. Most of them, I would say, if one exercise session gets sacrificed, it's going to be the strength training exercise.
Absolutely.
Which is like the last one that should be done, right? It should be the first exercise you do. So are there some specific things that I know you mentioned some things. Are there resources? Do you guys have any YouTubes or anything of videos like that I could link to with the podcast for people, the athletes, to use and see?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a whole like locomotion set, and crawling is a big one for us. And we crawling in all directions, not just forward and backward, because that builds so much core strength, and it really helps improve people's posture. Even if you just said, hey, just go crawl, they're going to get stronger core. They're going to probably move in other planes of motion, because it's going to get tiring to just crawl forward. Even in crawling forward, you're going to start moving that hip outward laterally to try to move yourself forward. You're going to start rotating your trunk a lot more. But yeah, we have locomotion, and we do all different types of locomotion type movements. And then we do something called the lunge matrix. And all of this stuff is like Gary Gray is like really the kind of the grandfather of it all, we learned from our mentor Jeff Myers. So I gotta give him a shout out. He was the one that kind of turned us on to, hey, so we talk about in our certifications all these planes of movement, but then look around the gym. What movement are they? What plane of motion are they moving in? And it's like primarily sagittal. Very little lateral, very little rotational. It's only because you have to, because it got really heavy or, something like that when you start moving in a different plane, when you talk about strength training. And then you talk about even endurance athletes too. It's like, okay, you're training these athletes, but then you look at sports and you look at the human body and it's capable of so much more. And it really does help create space in that joint. And wow, now I do feel really good. My hips feel really good and opened up, but now my back pain is gone and my knee pain is gone and my ankle pain is gone, and then same, even with the shoulder, it's like, okay, you're alleviating the shoulder, but now my upper back strength is so much more increased because I can move my shoulder well instead of, it being constantly hampered because I've been, stuck on the handlebars for 3 hours, every other day or, whatever it is for the endurance athlete.
Yeah, I like to think of that space that you speak of as creating leverage, like when it helps put things in the right place so that you have the leverage to actually use your body the way it's designed to be moved and used. Mm-hmm. And then you couple that with added strength, and you can strengthen your body in the proper alignment, so that just multiplies the effect. Like
Absolutely.
That's huge. So, okay, so here's a little trivia question, just to throw it out. I kind of think I already know the answer based on what you said, but there's a guy named Joe DeSena. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe. He kind of is the founder of the Spartan races and all that.
Oh, okay.
And he does a neat TEDx talk on like burpees, and burpees being like the perfect exercise.
Okay.
And so I've taken up like a personal challenge to do 100 a day. I'll work up to more than that, but 100 a day to start, to just see what happens to my body. And it's been good, but it seems like it might not actually be enough. Like, what is there one other exercise that you throw in there if you were a minimalist to like complement the burpee?
Absolutely, it'd be the lunge matrix. It would absolutely be the lunge matrix. Because the burpees, you're gonna, especially if you're jumping up and reaching to the sky. Mm-hmm. Everybody's burpee is a little bit different, so I don't know what his exact burpee is.
It's a 6 count, like standard 6 count burpee. Reach up, down to plank push up. What do you call it? Back up.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And so the lunge matrix, we have some videos that we can link to.
Awesome.
For the lunge matrix. And then of course, if you want to go straight to the source, you can check out any of Gary Gray's stuff. He'll have the lunge matrix in there. But basically it's 8 positions. You put your right foot, and 8 positions you put your left foot. And so it's forward diagonal, lateral, backward diagonal, straight back and under. So like a curtsy kind of. And then cross over the other leg laterally, and then you do this forward 90-degree kind of a post pattern position. And you run through that, and guaranteed core strength, but from all different directions, not just that sagittal plane that the plank gives you, which is a great, because we do crawling. I mean, we are advocates for that plank strength, because that's a better way to build your core than to do crunches, right? Which is just mimicking the human cashew. But yeah, the lunge matrix bar none would be it. Burpees and lunge matrix. That's a full body weight strengthening. It can be endurance, because if you can do 100 burpees in a row, that takes endurance, Same with if you can go 5 rounds, do 1 in each position on both feet for 5 rounds, that's going to take some endurance. And then the thing is to work into the lunge matrix. So you want to think about going out and coming back, thinking about like a bouncing ball. You don't want your ball to be flat. If your ball is flat, then you've gone too far out. You've gone too deep with your hips. So you don't have the core strength and the glutes and the hamstring and the quads. They're not working together well to put you back into that standing position like a bounce. And so as you get stronger, you can start reaching further out and dropping your hips further down. And it's amazing the pelvic floor strength and what the pelvic floor becomes, what your diaphragm becomes, what your abs become, so inner and outer abdominals. And then even your upper back, if you're doing it straight up, you can start doing hand movements. So you can start reaching forward or reaching down or reaching up when you're doing this lunge matrix. And then, I mean, that to me is like the perfect movement if you could do one for the minimalist. But I wouldn't state that the burpee is a bad movement by saying that at all. Like what he's saying is totally correct. I mean, that's great. It's a great movement. But yeah, the multiplanar, the more multiplanar you can get, the more you're going to really utilize their joints in their fullest capacity. And that's what we want, you know?
Yeah, and I think that kind of takes it to the next level. It's like, okay, we've got the basic stuff. This will work, but how do we do it a little more elegantly? How do we do it a little more with a little more finesse and get just a little bit better results? So that's awesome, man, and that's what I was hoping to get out of today, and I think you nailed it. So you know, for the folks that are local, you're in Costa Mesa, and for the folks that are local, I mean, we've got the videos for the people who are not local, and you periodically do seminars and stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot going on at Innovative Results. Like, there's something this weekend too, isn't there?
Yes, there's Training for Warriors. Martin Rooney is like renowned. He's an Olympian himself. He's trained Olympic athletes. He's been an advocate and a coach for a lot of wrestlers, a lot of fighters. But he's just an advocate for fitness in general, just a powerhouse right now, doing all the perform betters and getting out there and getting the word out of just moving and then that little bit of warriorship, of course, comes with it. You know, you can see in his attitude, and he's the most motivational, inspirational dude I've ever met. I mean, I appreciate you saying that I have passion, but if I have passion, then that guy just makes my passion look like minuscule. I mean, it's incredible, his passion and his energy that he has. But yeah, so he's going to come down and just level up all of our trainers, and then any trainer that's interested in coming around, as well as any client or any person that's interested. So yeah, we do at least an event a month out of our facility, and it's located in Costa Mesa, 2925 Airway Avenue, Suite J, as in Juliet. And our postal code is 92626 for those that are searching on the internet or MapQuesting or Yelping. And yeah, Innovative Results is the Orange County Fitness Playground. And for anybody that's on this call, if you mention, anybody that's on this podcast and you mention this podcast, Innovative Results would love to give you 50% off your first month. If you come in and you check us out, and you can just give us a call at 866-243-4472, and somebody will pick up the phone, and if we don't, we will call you right back, and we'd love to help you out.
Awesome. And then what about your monthly events? Is that something that goes out on your email list, or is there a way for people to keep in touch with you guys, say they're not local, but they want to kind of keep in touch and maybe come out for a seminar?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a big Facebook following, and actually that's the best place. We have a website, www.innovative-results.com, and so you can get on our email list, and of course you'll see stuff there. But our Facebook, if you just look Innovative Results, all one word, and then our YouTube channel, Innovative Results, all one word as well. But the Facebook, that will have all the local events as well as all the stuff that's international. We're going to do a big, we call it the Cali Open kettlebell competition. It's where I broke the record last year, and I'm planning on breaking a record again this year. So we're going to do that at the end of February, and we have people coming from around the world. And actually, not this weekend, but the following weekend, we're doing something called the 1 hour long cycle. And it's a kettlebell movement, but we're doing it to raise awareness and money for autism. And right now, I think there's 40 or 53 sites worldwide that are all going to be lifting at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here. And yeah, we don't drop the bell once, so you use a really light bell and you go endurance with it and you have fun and we've raised, I think we're at $20,000 mark, and we have about 1,000 participants so far, and we're kind of joining with Kettlebells for Autism, which is an organization you can find online, and then Orange Kettlebell Club, which actually I've just been offered a lead coach position there. I won't move anywhere. I'm still going to be with Innovative Results, but they really like what I've done with kettlebell and how we have a kettlebell team at Innovative Results and how our team is going. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to, just so people are aware and so you're aware, I'd like to link out to all the different things that you mentioned. So you mentioned your Facebook, your YouTube, your website, and also the Orange Kettlebell Club. Probably not a bad place to link out to as well. And perhaps if you can give me the links for the charities too, that'd be great. So people can get involved. And wow, I mean, there's so much more. We didn't even really touch on warriorship. I'd like to maybe bring you back and talk a little bit about that and how that that kind of like helps. How the aspect of personal growth that people experience through training and things like that. That I think there's just so much more to this than meets the eye. So, but I want to really thank you for coming and joining us and sharing and really kind of like expanding the knowledge base and just bringing special gifts to the group. So thanks very much for joining us today, Aaron.
Well, Manny, thank you. I'm from the bottom of my heart, I was really excited and amped about doing this, and it turned out, from hopefully the listeners think so too, but it turned out even better than I thought it would be. And so just thank you so much for this opportunity to be on your podcast and just be a part of the great movement that you're creating with functional movement and biomechanics. It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And for everybody out there, I will link out to all this material. It's good stuff. Be sure to check out Aaron and Innovative Results. Probably more to come from them because I think we're just scratching the surface here. And as usual, any questions that come up, feel free to comment directly on the blog, or you can contact Aaron through his contact information, me through my contact page. But signing out for the Structural Performance Podcast, this is Manny Aragon of the Rolf Workshop Center for Structural Performance. All the best.